There we go. There I am. All right. So the beginning of lifespan development, so when we look at the historical theories that kind of influenced this, lifespan development was heavily influenced by philosophy. So you have Augustine of Hippo. He was a 4th century North African philosopher, and he was heavily influenced by Christian doctrine. So he believed that all humans were born with a sinful, selfish, and stubborn nature, and they must seek redemption by living disciplined lives. So essentially, he believed that individuals were born immoral, and you had to overcome those immoral, inborn tendencies. Then you have John Locke, and he believed that he coined children were a blank slate. So he believed that children weren't born good or bad. They were born neutral, and that adults could mold individuals into whatever they believed that whatever they wanted them to be, so that he viewed that humans possessed no innate tendencies. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And he claims that all humans have innate goodness. And so all human beings are naturally good, and they need to seek out experiences that help them grow. So children need only nurturing and protection to reach their full potential. So I have a little chart here that kind of looks at the spectrum. So you have on one side, you have the original sin. And then on the other side, you have innate goodness, and John Locke was in the middle, and he believed that children were born neutral, a blank slate. So human development then becomes a science. I'm going to move this over here a little bit more. Okay. All right. So human development was heavily influenced by Charles Darwin. So he believed that you could understand the human species by studying children. And he wanted to kind of prove his theory of evolution by studying child development. And then you have Stanley Hall, and he identified norms or average ages at which milestones begin to happen. So, for instance, I don't know if any of you have been in Algoma Public Health recently, but there used to be this big sign that said, "Stop, is your child, can your 18-month-old say 3 words?" There was all these like little checklist to see if your child was doing that. So I have 2 children, and my 18-month-old, anytime I bring him into the doctor for his vaccinations and things like that, I always get a checklist that says, like, is your child able to like pull themselves to standing? Does your child know like at least one body part? Does your child recognize their name? So it's just a checklist to identify like these are what you would expect a child at this age to be doing, and are they meeting their developmental milestones? And as we go through this course, we're going to be talking, especially when we look at early like infancy, early childhood, and adolescence, there's lots of research out there that talks about milestones. So if you do have children, or you know people that have children, recognize that milestones are only averages at which children do things. So they would say that children usually learn to walk somewhere between 10 months and 18 months, which is actually a huge developmental range. And if your child isn't walking by 18 months, then that would be something that you would follow up on. Doesn't necessarily mean that the child is never going to learn how to walk, right? Same thing with language development. We're going to talk lots about language development. So they would say that usually their first words emerge around 12 months old, so 1 year. But some children don't start talking until almost 2, and yet they still catch up. So milestones are just something that we can say that this is an average age, but there's huge variations in that. Arnold Gesell suggested the existence of genetically programmed sequential patterns of change termed maturation. So he believed that our genes and our DNA dictate how we are going to mature and change as we age. And then Piaget, who we're going to talk a lot about Piaget this semester, looked at the changes that happen in logical thinking and in our cognition between birth and adolescence. So we're going to talk lots more about Piaget as we continue in this course. So that is a short and sweet little module, Chapter 1, Module 3.